and welcome to another episode of Lifestyle Gardening. I'm Kim Todd, and on today's program we'll be showing you tips for starting seeds at home and some of the best new gardening products for 2018. We're going to start our show with a taste test that is. Last summer, Nebraska Extension educator John Porter started an All-American Selection test vegetable garden. After everything had been harvested, he gathered up a crowd to taste the results. After all, growing vegetables isn't all about what grows well, but what you think tastes good.
So today I'm at my office here at the Douglas County Extension Office in Omaha, and we're doing a variety taste test for the All-America Selections variety trial that I told you about earlier in the year on Backyard Farmer. So we're testing out all of the new varieties that All-American Selections wants to test out to potentially be an award winner for garden catalogs and seed packets next year. So if you've ever looked on the back of a seed packet or seen in a catalog a little circle that has AAS in it, that's an All-America Selections winner, meaning that it's been tested in gardens around the country and shown to have some sort of trait that makes it better than what's on the market. So sometimes it could be that it tastes better than other things on the market. It could grow better, it could have better disease resistance. And that's one of the things that I've been looking at throughout the year on 13 different crops in our farm, Cooper Farm, here in Omaha. So we are looking at these 13 different crops to test out to see exactly if they're better than what's on the market. So we have 4 different varieties of hot peppers, 3 different varieties of tomatoes, some eggplant radishes that we're doing as a microgreen or a sprout, and cantaloupe and bok choy. These are all different things that we've tested out throughout the year to see how well they're growing. So some of them, it turned out that they did much better than what was available sent to us from the market, and some of them didn't do so well. So those results will go back to the All-America Selections organization, which is a nonprofit organization, and they will compare the scores from the gardens all around the country and see if something is meritorious, if it will get the All-America Selection Award. And then you'll see that in your garden catalog, on your seed packet, or on the tag at the store next year. You will see the All-America Selection seal for the stuff that we are testing out this year. You can also go to the Backyard Farmer Garden on campus and see what we are testing out. So all the winners will be there next year for you to see exactly how they grow and if you want to add them to your garden. So I have master gardeners here today taste testing. We've prepared some of these crops in a variety of different ways, and they're sort of taste testing, looking to see exactly, does it taste better than the 2 that are already on the market that were sent to compare? Does it taste the same? Does it taste worse? And that will go into the ratings for the All-America Selection.
Part of the fun of gardening is eating the fruits of your labors. And the whole point of having a test garden is to figure out what grows best in our environment so that we can eat the things we enjoy the most. We've had a lot of fun with our Go Gardening features aimed at helping beginning gardeners. This week we'll turn our focus on our favorite Italian herb, basil. It's fairly easy to grow and so delicious when added to fresh pasta. This week on Go Gardening for beginning gardeners, I want to talk a little bit about how to grow basil. It happens to be one of those wonderful herbs that is so good fresh, it's good dried, it's good when you cook with it. There's really nothing like the scent of basil as well as how it can flavor your food. It's also pretty easy to grow. You have to simply think about a few things that are requirements that this plant needs. You can start it from seed. The seeds are large, so it is not something that you're going to lose because it looks like dust. You want to start those seeds 6 to 8 weeks prior to the last frost. Here's the deal with basil. It absolutely cannot stand cold soils or cold temperatures. So if you're going to start those seeds inside or by transplants, you want to make sure that you are not putting those plants out in the garden until that soil temperature is at least 50. Ideally, it is way higher than that, 70 degrees. So we're not talking about planting this in the first part of April. What you want to do if you seed that the basil's directly in a greenhouse or in your sunny window is make sure that once they emerge, you look at those first two or three sets of true leaves. So after the cotyledon leaves break, which are the ones that look like D's, after 2 to 3 leaves emerge, you want to pinch that off and get that basil to start branching. Again, you're going to set those out when the weather is right. You want to make sure that you water well, frequently, but not so frequently that the soil gets all soggy and the roots rot. Full sun is absolutely the best for basil. So the more sun you can give it, the happier it will be. You want to make sure that when you're setting the transplants out or thinning, if you happen to seed directly into the garden, you want to give at least 6 to 8 inches between those plants. That's also going to depend a great deal on which basil you have selected. And again, you can get the large leaf basil, the Genovese, you can get purple ruffles or some of the ones that are actually more ornamental, Siam queen. Some of the basil's really grown for their flowers. You may want to actually give them a little bit of a different spacing. A good well-grown basil plant, however, of the large leaf or Genovese basil will be as much as 24 inches across, so give them enough room. When you want to harvest, you can start harvesting really as soon as you see nice leaves that you want to eat, of course, and you pinch that right above a leaf axil. What will happen then is you get another set of leaves, a double set really, emerging from where you've made that pinch in the leaf axil. You just continue to do that. Again, as the season progresses, the basil, of course, as an annual, is attempting to set seed, flower and set seed, and live its lifespan out during a single year. So it will become a little bit woody. The flavors are going to go off and become bitter if you don't keep up with the harvest. What you can do when you're finally sort of finished with that basil plant is go ahead and let it flower. Let the pollinators get to it because they will absolutely love it. You can actually use those flowers to infuse a vinegar if you want to, and that really gives you a wonderful additional way to use the basil that is out of your garden. So again, the keys here are make sure it is warm enough. Make sure that you're not going to get a frost. If you absolutely have those basil plants in the garden or you've started them from seed and we get a late frost, you're going to have to cover or you're going to have to start over again. Basil is fantastic in any herb garden, and it works just as well in containers on your porch. They do tend to get a little woody when they mature, but their blooms are still great for pollinators. Fresh cut flowers around your home can bring a lot of color, not to mention those wonderful aromas. For this week's landscape lesson, we'll be taking a look at how to grow your own cut flower garden. For this week's landscape lesson, I thought we'd talk about how to grow a cutting garden. I absolutely love cut flowers. I go off and buy them all winter long. I'm not great about growing them in my own home garden because I have too much shade and too many perennials. So we're going to talk about cutting gardens that are primarily constructed or planted with annuals. You have lots and lots of choices. It's all personal choice. What you really want to look for, though, is plants that will give you a good, strong, sturdy stem, probably a fairly long stem, and of course you can always cut it twice and it was still too short if it's too long. Multitudes of colors, perhaps you like scent, and many of these also attract pollinators. A lot of our cutting gardens are actually started from seed, direct seeded into the ground, and as we always tell you, look at the seed packet, take a gander at exactly what that says so that you know whether you need to start them in the greenhouse or in your window, or purchase transplants. To be able to do a cutting garden properly and really get a lot of material out of it, a lot of people totally separate that from the rest of their landscape. And that means that as they're wandering about in all the other beautiful plants that they have, they're not actually decimating their landscape by cutting things that they want to bring into the house. And if that's the decision you make, then you can think about your cutting garden essentially as row crops. Plant a row of zinnias, plant a row of bachelor's buttons, plant a row of snapdragons, and cut and cut and come again. Now, one of the things you also need to think about is the spacing on those plants. So if they are too close together, they're going to outcompete one another. If they're too far apart, they may not actually give you those good, strong, sturdy stems. So you may have to play around a little bit, both with the varieties that you choose to grow, as well as exactly how you do the spacing on them. We want to look also for cutting garden flowers that will allow you, in many cases, to simply cut back above a leaf node, and then that plant will regenerate additional flowers from the cut stems. So A great thing to think about there is, do you want that variety? Do you want a later season flower? We have a lot of new All-America selections that make good cutting flowers. Dianthus Jolt series, which we had in our garden last year, is one of them. Of course, we have some great zinnias, bachelor's buttons, which I already mentioned. Sweet peas are an option for earlier in the season. Cleome, sunflowers. So the choices aren't really endless for a cutting garden, but you have a great number of options in terms both of what you choose to use in a cutting garden, how you install it, and how you think about it in terms of the rest of your landscape. Once you get the hang of growing these flowers for cutting, you'll really never run out of beautiful bouquets for the inside of your home. And you've got a myriad of choices for flowers, colors, and seasons. For this week's interview, we're going to be focusing on some new things for 2018. We took our cameras recently to Campbell's Nursery here in Lincoln to talk to manager Randy Wolf. He tells us how they decide what's trending, what to put on their shelves for the upcoming gardening season. I'm really happy to be here at Campbell's Nursery and Garden Centers with Randy Wolf today. We're going to be talking about how you actually get products into a garden center. Randy, the gardening season is just about ready to start. We want to know where exactly you go to buy the products, when you start, and how do you make those decisions?
Well, a lot of things enter into the equation. Probably one of the first things we look at is what are our customers asking for? We try and see what's new out there. Sometimes that means taking in some shows in various parts of the United States. Usually the shows will have an emphasis, say, on plant material or hard goods, Christmas, or the gift items. And then, of course, we rely on our sales reps for help as well. So I would say my forte is plants, and so I really look at that when I'm at shows to try and see what's out there, try and see what there's a niche for, and we're always on the lookout for plants that are going to overtake some of the new old varieties and become better plants for landscape, better satisfaction for the gardener.
Randy, in a garden center that is full service with a gift shop included, do you divide and conquer, or is it your responsibility to go all over the country and all over the world and find all the new cool stuff?
Well, usually we do divide and conquer. Certain employees have their specialties, and sometimes it's a team effort, sometimes it's a single person that's the head or the lead on a division. Then, it's a lot of communication. We try and talk to the buyers. Hey, we're having people ask for this. We're having, or we've seen this at our competitors, or we've seen this in some of the magazines and literature that we receive. I, for instance, am in charge of buying our perennials, and so I deal with a number of sources for small divisions and plugs that we grow on to landscape-sized plants. I look for hardiness. I look for plants that are going to give a customer a lot of color for their money. I look for some things that are new that I think will work. They don't always. I'm not infallible, but with the experience that I've got over the years, I've been able to pick out some nice plants, and that puts us ahead of the game. Usually we've got plants in here maybe a year or two before our competitors do for that reason. The hard goods people, they look at shows, and they oftentimes are driven by what the customer is asking for, and oftentimes it has to do with ease of a product. Gardeners are getting older, and at least I'm getting older, and some of these things I'm looking for an easier way to do it and still get good results. So
let's focus a little bit on several of the products that you really think are intriguing this year that you might want your customers to take a look at.
Sure. Yes, Kim. We're focusing a lot on pollinator plants because of the awareness for pollinators. We've got seed for a number of different types of milkweed, for instance. 5 years ago, we didn't have a milkweed seed on the property, and so that's a way we can react to what our customers' needs are. Pesticides, we now offer an inorganic and an organic answer to almost any problem in the garden. Oftentimes the pesticides have gotten easier to use. Instead of a concentrate and buying a big sprayer and having to mix that, now we're coming up with ready-to-use products, and even more recently ready-to-spray products where you hook a sprayer to your garden hose and it sprays out at the right measurement. People like that. There's less contact with the pesticides. It's easier. It frees up more of their time, and something they can do rather quickly. Another example would be orchids. 20 years ago, orchids were kind of a mysterious plant for most gardeners, and they saw them as expensive and very hard to grow. Well, with the different ways of producing Phalaenopsis orchids and things like that, they can mass produce them now. People found out that, hey, they too can enjoy orchids, get them to bloom, and consequently, a full line of orchid products, the pots, the potting soils for them, the fertilizers for them. So that's a way that we've changed and to help provide things for our customers.
Randy, thanks for all that great information without sharing any of your trade secrets with us. I'm always looking forward to the spring when I can come in and I can buy either all the new good stuff or some of the golden oldies as well.
Well, Kim, we certainly hope to see you in the Garden Center. It's been my pleasure to have been with you today.
Each new growing season brings a lot of opportunity for you to try new things. Of course, there's nothing wrong with the old tried and true that you used to like to grow or use, but gardening is so much more interesting when we give you some new plants, new tools, new chemicals, new organic or inorganic substances, anything else at the Garden Center that you can give a try to. It's time for us to answer a few of your questions, which you can submit via email to byf@unl.edu. Attach those pictures as JPEGs, please, and that way we can use them on the show. Our first question comes from an Omaha viewer. He has issues with a ginkgo, loves the tree, doesn't like what it is now doing, which is all of a sudden what he thought was male is producing fruit. And the fruit of the ginkgo is messy and smells really quite awful. This tree also didn't drop all its leaves, and one of the beautiful things about ginkgos typically is those leaves turn a beautiful gold and then they just rain down all at once when the temperature is exactly right and the leaves have senesced for the season. So what he's got is messy fruit on the ground, messy leaves in the trees. He's wondering if this is going to happen year after year, what he could do to actually stop this from happening. The unfortunate situation here is ginkgos are one of those plant species that a male can decide a male wants to become a female if conditions are right. High stress is one of the things that will cause that. The other is potentially some of the issues associated with grafting to begin with in the nursery. In some instances, perhaps that tree has died to the ground in the nursery, has come back up, but it has been the rootstock rather than the top that has come back, and then the supplier may not know whether that is truly still a male. Once they convert, the chances of converting back are slim and none. In terms of those leaves not senescing, we may see some winter dieback in some of our ginkgos this year. That would be not unusual. And unfortunately, if that does happen, then we're just going to have to hope that next year is a better year. The foliage typically should fall off very early in the season. It has not. So all we can do is say we've got the same situation. It's going to be an interesting year to watch what's going on with the ginkgo trees. Our second question comes to us from central Nebraska. This is a viewer who has beautiful pines, ponderosa and Bosnian pines. He is pretty well convinced that he has Dathostroma, which is one of the diseases our pathologists talk about. He sent some great images, and unfortunately he is right. He also wants to know, or wanted to know, whether he could go ahead and start a spray program to reduce that disease incidence in the coming spring. He wanted to start that in the nice winter or in the nice weather in the winter months. Not going to work, because one of the things you have to do with anything that you use for pesticide, insecticide, fungicide, miticide, the timing is really essential. And in this case, to apply those products right now is wasting money, wasting time, and not doing any good. So the spray schedule, we have a good neb guide associated with that, with a spray schedule that will actually work to be able to control that blight in those pines. And of course, sanitation is always one of the very first things that we recommend. So cross fingers, follow that spray schedule, do the good sanitation, and hopefully he'll be able to arrest that disease in his pines. We have a viewer who sent us a question, this is also from the Omaha area, about a maple, and she says she has trails up the tree that come from ants, lots of different trails that are from ants in her mind. We've never actually heard of or seen, or at least I haven't, ants causing a tunnel in the outer bark of a tree. And as I look at this image a little closer, it looks to me like what she really has going on is she probably has one of the hybrid maples, oftentimes a cross between red and silver maple. They tend to be very fast growing. The bark is very smooth, but as those trees age, they get these big furrows in them that actually do look like paths up the trunk of a tree. And the ants themselves, if I were an ant and I needed to climb a tree, I'd probably want to go up the trail instead of trying to figure out how to cut my own trail. So probably no real issues associated with this. Again, if she's got great big carpenter ants, which it didn't really look like and we couldn't see the ants, that's a different issue entirely, but they're going to be cleaning out dead material, not trailing up and down and going after any of the living tissue. Let's see, our final question for this week also comes to us from the central part of the state, and this is also a question associated with what we're going to see for winter injury or winter damage. With the swings in temperatures, we have people telling us that they have perennials that have begun to break dormancy, so they're showing some new green shoots. They're hopefully not going to break their bud for their flower buds if they're very early blooming, but they're seeing some drying out around the crowns of the plants, and they're wondering what should they do about that, if anything, at this point. Well, here's the deal. You know, we recommend mulching after the ground freezes hard in the fall, late fall or early winter. And as you look now and you see around the crowns of those plants that have either heaved or begun to break dormancy, just make sure that you have decent cover. Make sure that it is not too dry under there so that you're not really causing a situation where the mulch makes it even drier. You don't want to smother the tops of the plants by covering them with something else. You want to cross your fingers again and hope that we have sort of a mild or a mitigated weather pattern coming up. But you really can't delay the flowering or delay the break of dormancy with a plant that has actually started to do that out in the landscape. We're going to end today's program with a beginning, starting seeds indoors, that is. We talked to Extension Assistant Mary Jane Froge about what you need to get started, potting mix, and when is the right time to start seeds indoors. It's easier than you might think and a great way to get gardening sooner.
Starting seeds indoors is a fun project to get ready for spring. It's easy to do, and you can have more selection for plant material because you're able to pick seeds maybe of heirloom plants, something maybe you wouldn't be able to buy at a garden center. On the back of the seed packet, it will tell you how long it takes for those plants to germinate and if those seeds need to be covered. Some seeds, like coleus, need sunlight or light to grow, where others need to be covered over just slightly with the potting mix. Everything's on the back of the package, how many days it takes for them to germinate. Some seeds just need a few days, others like peppers need 3 to 4 weeks. You're going to want to get some planting cells to plant your seeds in. These are plastic containers that work real well under grow lights. Or you can just use small plastic containers, but make sure that you have a drainage hole in the bottom. The seed mix is real important that you get something that's light, that has perlite and vermiculite and peat moss in it. It's a special growing media just for seeds. Potting soil and garden soil would be too heavy to get the seeds started in. Usually start planting seeds in mid-March. Seeds like tomatoes need 6 weeks to germinate and start growing, where peppers will take a little longer, so you need to start them a little earlier. They can take up to 9 weeks to produce plants. If you start too early, then maybe you have mature plants that are ready to go outside, but it's still too cold out. So then you're going to have to transplant them into bigger pots to hold them. If you start too late, then you've got plants that are too small to put out to really do well. So mid-March is really the target time that you're trying to start your seeds. You fill the cells with the soil mix, and then you plant your seeds. Once you've got your seeds planted, you want to put them under the grow light. You are using a light you can purchase a light system, or you can use something simple like a grow light, a shop light, and that will work just as fine. What is important is that you need your light source close to your seeds when they start to germinate. A question that I get quite often is, why are my seedlings spindly and not doing well? It's because the light source is not close enough to the plants when they're growing. So you need to be able to raise your lights as your plants are growing. You start with the grow light 1 inch above the seeds, and then you raise it as the plants grow. It's real important that you have good light so you don't get spindly seedlings. It's really important to keep your seedlings well watered. You want to water from the bottom and make sure that they don't dry out. Usually you won't have disease problems if you're using fresh soil media and clean or new containers. So now you're ready to start seeds indoors. It's a really fun project. I hope you get started, and if you've got kids, they really like to participate and be part of the process, so have fun.
We've had a great time with you today sharing All-America selections, what's new at the Garden Center, and starting seeds indoors. It's cold outside, but you can get most of your garden plants a head start in the coming weeks. Thank you so much for joining us again for Lifestyle Gardening. Next time we'll be looking at what ornamentals thrive in the hot and dry environment in western Nebraska. We'll also check out an urban rainwater saving system and talk to a landscape design expert. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So good afternoon, good gardening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time on Lifestyle Gardening.